take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am good. How are you today, sir?
I mean, I could be better, I suppose. It
Yeah.
could be better. But other than that, been decent Sunday. Uh, had a little neighborhood wine tasting, so I'm feeling a little bit better at least.
Right. That'll help.
It'll help. But yeah, I guess no reason to delay it. We'll get right into the big game last night. Texas visiting Tuscaloosa and came out with a 34-24 win over the Tide, and it felt like it could have been a lot worse. Yeah, we talked all preview season, and then we talked last week about how we would have a lot of questions about both teams answered
Mm-hmm.
with this game, and we definitely got some.
We
Texas
got some
is
answers.
indeed, yeah, we got our answers. Texas is indeed a legit playoff contender, if not a national title contender.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama is in some trouble. Um, Although we still have more questions. Jalen Milroe, probably not the guy, but moments of brilliance. I guess let's start there. That
Yeah.
was the biggest question coming in the Alabama season. It was the
Right.
quarterbacks, and Jalen Milroe last night had a couple moments of brilliance, but then he made
Mm-hmm.
some really bad interceptions.
Right.
Speak on it, Greg.
You know, I've been a Jalen guy this whole time, just because I I just his mobility and what he brings there. But man, it was some, like you said, it was some great moments. It was some terrible moments. That especially that final interception. It was like, oh my goodness, like what was the? But it's frustrating. But you don't want to be. I don't want to be the guy that's like, get him out of there, because they know more than us. I mean, it's the reason why he's the quarterback.
Hmm.
Same time, I mean, the offensive line did him absolutely no favors.
Yeah, they got bodied all night.
And that's the worst. I think that's the most disappointing part of last night was we heard, oh, everybody's 330. It's gonna be smash mouth. They're gonna be nasty.
Hmm.
And maybe it was hype, but I mean, coming from so many different sources. I mean, eventually you kind of bought. I definitely bought into it. Like, well,
Hmm.
it'll be fun to see, and it was the exact opposite. Like, that was. Probably the most disappointed I may have ever been at the offensive line at Alabama. Like, that was ugly.
It was indeed, and yeah, you mentioned all the big hosses we got up there, three guys over 350, but maybe there's a reason that oh no, Russell Wilson fumbling the ball as we speak. Maybe there's a reason that lines are smaller and more agile these days, and in the
Yeah,
running game it worked for a little bit, and anyway, until Texas basically put 9 in the box and we're like, all right, beat us, and we
yeah,
couldn't. But yeah, they got. I mean, it was embarrassing how
yeah. Who was
just that Texas pass rush, and they were rushing three guys and getting
right?
to Jalen to force him out the pocket. And a little bit of it was Jalen, gets happy feet,
He does get
but
happy,
you
and
can't blame him.
sometimes his internal clock is a little long.
Hmm.
But with the I don't think anybody would have fared well under center with
Mm-mm.
that. The offensive line play last night,
It
and
could have been
no,
worse with a guy who isn't as agile as
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, get Buckner, get Ty. They're getting smashed. I'm sorry. I mean, it was just an all around. Uh, I was just very disappointed in the line and the offensive line, and even more, and then the defensive line. I mean, Ewers had a year to throw on every pass, and everybody's like, "Oh, the
Yeah.
secondary was so terrible." Any secondary is going to be terrible when a man has a month to pass. I mean, he's a heck of a quarterback. A legit quarterback. If he has a mild, he has years back there. Of course, he's going to look great. I mean,
Yeah.
that man was in a white. I mean, you wouldn't even notice he was in a 4-quarter game in a white jersey. I mean, it looked way too clean at the end of the day.
Way too pretty. Yeah, too pretty.
Yeah.
Too like not even that like dingy. Like oh, he's been hit a
No,
couple
it was
times white.
like
That like fresh out the
that
equipment
fresh your
room white.
mom just bleached it, came out ready to go press. Like it was, my
Uh,
goodness.
it was, yeah. And you mentioned, yeah, the secondary, a couple blown assignments here and there, some bad angles, but yeah, like they're young secondary, you got to help them out.
Right.
Even though Kool Aid's a shutdown guy, but they were attacking him. He made a couple plays, got beat a couple times, But
But I
like
mean
you
that
said,
that one on the sideline. I mean that. Well, I think it was AD beat him, but I mean that was just a perfect catch. Like he wasn't gonna.
perfect catch, perfect throw. Yeah, you can't do it. Kool Aid was on him. If that ball's thrown a second late or a foot
Yeah.
short, it's either picked off or broken up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, and Caleb Downs, he's a freshman, so he's going to make fresh
Right.
mistakes, but
He,
he looked great, in
he looked
moments.
good. I mean, yeah. I mean he got on some coverage things, but I mean that's
He
you know,
got beat on a deep pass, but he's a safety.
yeah,
Safeties
yeah,
get 1-on-1 against speedsters. They're not like safeties don't win that,
exactly,
matchup.
exactly. And
Unless you're
then
Ed Reed, and Ed Reed's the greatest safety to ever
one
play the game.
point,
So,
yeah,
no, yeah, I felt watching that
yeah,
too. Yeah, the pass rush was non-existent on the Alabama side. I talked to a friend during halftime, and he's like, "Where's Dallas Turner? I haven't heard his name called once."
right,
Uh, yeah, he wasn't making plays. We weren't scheming guys to get there. All hats off too. We say this too. All hats off to Texas and Sark. He called a perfect game, and they executed just about perfectly.
yeah. They
Um,
did
uh,
exactly what some folks have been saying that they were going to do. They,
mhm.
there was quite the split of what was going to happen in Tuscaloosa, and there's been some folks that said, man, when Texas comes in, they're just going to take it to them, and they really did. Like they took it to us. Like even when we were down 13-9 and stuff, it seemed like we are down a couple touchdowns. It wasn't.
Mhm.
It,
It
even we
never felt like it was that close a game.
exactly. Even when we got the lead, I was like, hmm.
And then that was the most disappointing part of the defense is they couldn't make as much as we say it felt like a lot bigger than a 10-point win. It also was weirdly one of those games where if 2 or 3 plays go Bama's way, Bama wins.
Right.
If once they take the lead, if the defense just gets one sack, forces a 3-and-out, or gets one turnover
Yeah, could
to
not
keep that
get
momentum going, then yeah, maybe Bama holds on and wins.
exactly,
It just when I mean it's college football, it's weird like that. All credit to Sark. Like I said, he called a perfect game. They pretty much played a perfect game. They were a little shaky early as well.
right.
Again, though, if one of those fumbles bounces into an Alabama guy's hands instead,
Yeah,
if
that's the point that I really knew was probably not our night on the fourth and was it 4th and 2 when
mhm.
we stuffed them. We thought we stuffed them, but they never caught the backup quarterback never caught the and then the
Yeah,
dude was
exactly.
able.
Yeah, never actually had full possession of the
Yeah,
ball. It
and
was
then
one of
he's
those. Yeah, it's like okay, ain't our night.
no.
Or Jalen hits Rodell Williams wide open, but he throws a little behind him, so
Oh,
Rodell can't keep his
oh my god!
balance. He
I was
walks
like, here
in to
we
the
go.
end
Oh,
zone if that he hits him in stride, or if Rodell can keep his balance.
yeah,
But yeah, going back to the offense, I've seen a lot of people mad at Tommy Reese. I don't think he called a bad game necessarily, but what I do think he didn't do was help out Jalen a lot. Um,
no, it
we could
seems
have
like
had more design quarterback runs or at least read options.
mm,
And we know that, Milroe's strength is running the ball and throwing it real deep. Well, we hit a couple deep balls. So okay, check that off. Had a couple play action.
that.
But he
Yeah,
didn't give
no,
them enough like quick routes, didn't give them enough screens to relieve the pressure, a couple
mm,
get the running backs involved in the game, passing game. And he was trying to force them to throw those 10 to 15-yard routes, which Milroe does need to learn and get better at. But, when he stares down his receivers like that, I mean, man, it's rough. And that's where I think Tommy Reese failed, was that he didn't help out Milroe enough and didn't cater the offense and the scheme to his players' strengths.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was expecting a lot more short intermediate passes
Hmm.
just to give them a little confidence. Move the
Hmm.
chains a little
Get
bit.
some rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, that never happened. And then as far as how we ran the ball later, like, we'd run, and then be 3rd and 7, and he's in a 3rd and 7 passing situation. I was like, this is not,
Hmm.
yeah, they just really, took it to us, and we're person of the most person of the moment, so it seemed like the end of the world. I mean, we still have 11, 10 games to go, so I mean, I'm still playing for a lot, but
Yeah.
it's just
But you go in with, maybe more questions than answers.
right.
And
Not
if,
how if we had lost, it was just an amazing shootout type of game, and we scored, they scored, things are looking decent, but it wasn't really like that. Now I think that's it's one thing to lose, but it's just how we lost. And
yeah, just kind of dominated, out coached, outplayed, out hustled.
yeah,
Uh, the,
and
the mental mistakes were back. There's a
well,
couple crippling penalties. You
yeah,
know, Jermaine Burton had 2 touchdowns taken away,
yeah.
penalties.
The one
That's another. No, go ahead.
saying it's kind of those things that you felt bad for the offensive lineman at times because they got the legal man down the field, and
Hmm.
they're not exactly sure it all the time, but yeah, that, and then the other Terry and Arnold, my goodness,
Oh, yeah, not a great game for him.
no, he's
Um,
just
I would like to know, if we had access to coach cams and stuff like that,
yeah,
and trying to, read from people that were there, if the receivers, some of them read that said the receivers are getting open. Burton was beating this guy a lot all night, and either
yeah,
Milrow didn't see him or just didn't have time to find him.
right. They made it sound like him from people, I guess, with because when you're watching the game at home, it's hard to tell, just with because they're around the middle of action, as far as the downfield, what we don't see until he actually throws the ball. But yeah, it does sound like people were open a lot for what it's
Hmm.
worth. I mean, I don't know if it's just Milrow missing, Milrow not having time. I mean, he had some great moments, but then yeah, he had some definite tough where it's like you wonder he can't still having the same issues reading the defense that he did last year. So
Yeah, there was no in between. There was no just like, all right, he played steady or average. It was either
no, a
like that's a
hitter,
hell of a play with his feet, that's a hell of a deep throw,
yeah,
or like, oh, he stared down his receiver for 10 seconds and threw a pick,
exactly. And
or
the
a lot of high throws.
right, yeah, there's definitely no it's no intermediate for him. It's either really great or it's really bad. And when you're you can't really have that as the quarterback. uh,
Yeah, and going back to what you said earlier too, like people calling for Buckner or Simpson, it's like, well, the coaches see it in practice, and if Milroe's the guy and they're not giving them,
yeah,
if one of them's not coming out at the start of the second half, then there's probably a really good reason for that.
yeah.
Um,
And,
and like we said too, with the way that line was getting crushed, Buckner or Simpson back there, they're getting sacked even more than we already did.
right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know. And change. I don't know. We need to just. It seemed like we didn't really change anything on the line either. I mean, there was really no adjustments. Do you add a tight end, to the side, or do get some more help, or uh,
Or do we need to adjust the center? Because man, what is with the
yeah,
snaps?
though. I mean, Milrow, he had a heck of a run off that one. He was down and he made a great throw off that, and but yeah, I mean, yeah, that should be down to a T at this point. I mean, they had the
Hmm.
whole fall camp to get that under and
Yeah,
spring fall camp. I mean, the center and quarterback should have excellent relationship at this point of the season. I know it's only week 2, but that should be a science. Like
yeah.
that should be a problem.
So yeah, does there need to be a switch there? Is it, the protection thing that could just be the line needing to gel and learn to play together and stuff. And
I know
because
Proctor's
when you're getting beat by a 3-man rush, that's miscommunication right there on who's got who. And
and
um,
Proctor had a rough night, but then again, he no matter his size, he's only an 18-year-old kid.
yeah. Um, but yeah, and um, at the end of the day, the season's still salvageable. It's a
Right,
non-conference game. Who knows? It doesn't look like it after last night, but you never know. They could turn it around, and sweep through the SEC play. That's this is still a team with a chance to win a national title.
right,
Uh, Alabama has only gone unbeaten twice under Nick Saban.
yeah.
But yeah, after last night, confidence in that isn't high. But we shall see. Go to Tampa to play USF next week. Get right game, if you will, and then SEC play starts with Ole Miss. So Texas moves on to probably, obviously the most talented team in the Big 12.
Oh
And if
yeah,
we're
by
going off
far,
these first couple of weeks or this game, Texas should run through the Big 12.
yeah, because
Um,
yeah, definitely. I mean, from what I saw some of yesterday with the other Big 12 games, I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Baylor have an offense.
yeah, um, yeah. We'll
So
we'll see.
we'll-
I'm not gonna. We'll wait to proclaim they're back until they make the playoff.
right, but
Um,
they
but
for the week two, they're definitely show all the signs, and it's
yeah,
not any
they earned
fluke.
that win for sure.
No, definitely did. It wasn't a fluke type situation. They dominated all facets of the game from coaching on down. So
Yeah,
worst nightmare in Tuscaloosa for Alabama fans, but you know, I guess the what I do. You want to keep it positive as much as possible, and what I will say is, I don't think it can get much worse than what we saw last night. But
exactly. Yeah. Hard to imagine a scenario that gets worse than getting just dominated in your own house. First home loss since 2019. First out of conference regular season loss since UL Monroe in '07. First time Nick Saban as a college coach ever lost a home game by double digits. Um,
first time since what is it, 03 that by double digit in Bryant Denny or something.
yeah, the first time since '04, I think, that we lost by double digits in Bryant Denny. That would have been would that have been the
That
9 loss season? No, that would have been the 6-6 year. That would have been the year Brody got hurt. And then,
mm,
so I'm guessing that would have probably been LSU.
shoot.
Uh, the game that, if I remember right, me and you left early because we were down 20 something to nothing, and we decided to kick a field goal on 4th and goal
Yeah,
instead of trying
that
to
was
score a touchdown.
that was the year they won the national title. So that would
Yeah.
have been our sophomore year.
Yeah.
That was that was our 4-9. Yeah, that was the 4-7 year or whatever. That
Four and
was
nine. Awful
oh,
year.
yeah. Horrible. Yeah, we were was it 27 nothing that we kicked the field goal to make it 27-3 or something, just some
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Just,
I was
yeah.
like, oh
With 4th and goal in the one. Like, just go for it. Just get your guys a touchdown. But anyway,
yeah.
uh, anything else on this game to add?
No, I guess you just gotta that I guess the only other thing that just my mindset, you think, oh well, they'll get their mind right and they'll bounce back, but with folksy, with not just young folks these days and how everything goes and some of the changes in sports, it's not as guaranteed as it once was, and that's I guess my biggest thing. I know it matters to these guys, but it doesn't matter to the point of are they gonna? Because we heard, they talked a good game all off season, and so I thought, I was, and then come out after that, it'd be interesting to see how, motivated folks are bouncing back from such a loss.
Yeah. Moving on, we'll go to before we get to this week's games. Let's real quick talk about the two games we didn't get to talk about last week. Florida State beating LSU on Sunday night, and then Duke beating
Okay.
Clemson on Monday night. Speaking of teams proclaim themselves kind of back in national title contenders, Florida State
Yeah.
whooped LSU. Close first half, but you could kind of see it that Florida State was maybe the better team, and then the second
Right.
half they just took it to the Tigers.
Man, complete
Um,
second half domination. I mean,
mhm.
uh,
And what playoff and national title contenders do against good teams? They pull away. What we used to do.
yeah,
In years past, this game, Alabama might have been down 13.5 or whatever, and then they would have come out and won the game 39-13, uh,
right.
something like that. But yeah, Florida State looked great in all facets of the game. Looked
Hmm.
fast, dominating. Continued it this week, beating the shit out of Southern Miss as you're supposed to do.
Right. No
Um,
hangover at all. Just yeah,
yeah.
doing what you're supposed to do. And yeah, that those big wide receivers they brought in, Coleman, man, that
Hmm.
wow. He absolutely obliterated that LSU secondary.
Yeah.
Something
Um,
that you don't see happen too much.
yeah. And they were, yeah, just vicious. Um, the defense was flying.
Right.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, they're, supposed ACC rivals. I mean, we'll still see. But Duke went Clemson on a Monday night, or Clemson went in the Duke on a Monday night game and didn't just lose. Duke pushed them around
Yeah, how
28 to
physical.
7.
Yeah. And there was I mean, they had a lot of fumbles. I mean, of course, that
Hmm.
added to it, but yeah, they just got out physical. Like they didn't want anything to do with that game. It didn't seem like they didn't seem like they were very interested. Didn't seem that inspired. And Duke really took it to them. Took advantage of their fumbles and makes you run. I know it's only game one. However, everybody thought DJU was the problem at Clemson, and it seems like that may not have been the case at all.
He's looking pretty good in Corvallis.
he is. He is.
Yeah, no. And then they compounded it. If you look at the final score, it didn't seem so, but they were struggling with Charleston Southern yesterday.
Until that like third, until the late third, like it was close. It was they were not blowing out Charleston Southern at all.
No, and it was another thing where a team that they should be, obviously more talented than was
Yeah,
pushing them around. Charleston Southern was getting in the
yeah,
backfield, making big sacks, and you got to wonder, yeah, this. You've seen some articles about it this week. Dabo's reluctance to hit the transfer portal to plug holes.
yeah.
And I don't know, sure you've seen the joke, but Dabo said that he would quit coaching once they start playing payers. Well, he's, people have made the joke that he's done that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't.
we'll see in a
It's one.
couple weeks. They do host Florida State. And, again, there's another thing, like we said with the Alabama game. You never know; they could turn around. Much talent is on that team; they could turn it around and sweep through the ACC. But it
That they
doesn't look like it.
no, and it's not so much that they lost to Duke, because I mean Duke. Mike Elko's done a heck of a job at Duke. Like Duke,
Great
when he came
job.
3-9 the year before, immediately made them what 9-4. I went to a bowl game. I mean, it wasn't the toughest schedule, but still, I mean, Duke was a mess, and just the way that they beat Clemson. I mean, if it had been a fluke type thing, okay, things happen, but they just completely dominated, and
Hmm.
then Clemson didn't even look like the superior team in any way of the game. like,
No, like not one facet.
right.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, so like we said, we'll see in a couple weeks. We get our answer there. But Clemson, as of right now, like,
it's on right now, man. That game could get ugly.
yeah, we as Alabama fans, we've always laughed at the dynasty is over proclamations and stuff. But man, it's looking rough there in the other Death Valley. Um,
Yeah,
moving on, the only other top 25 matchup yesterday, Ole Miss went down to New Orleans to play Tulane and pulled it out, kind of pulled away late, kind of fumble, pick, scoop and score. But Tulane was without their starting quarterback, and if he was healthy, could have been a different story because Tulane hung around.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
Um,
it was an entertaining game, a real
Good
physical
game.
game.
Yeah,
Tulane was hidden. They were
they were not shying away from it. Yeah, no.
at all. I mean, they brought it. Yeah, you may make you wonder, man. If Michael Pratt had played yesterday, just what could that game have been for the Green Wave there? But I mean, they held their own there. Yeah, it was an entertaining game. I watched most of it. You know, you could, that quarterback, he had some good points, but man, he had some passes. You're like, man, Michael Pratt probably hits that.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Um,
you know, they,
Jackson Dart made a couple great plays on the other end.
yeah,
Particularly that late touchdown where they took the lead or at least maybe went up two scores where he avoided a rusher. We
oh
made a
yeah,
great move because it was a fourth down play and he could have been
hmm
sacked and handed Tulane the ball and a lot of momentum. Avoided the rusher, then hit a man in stride for a touchdown. And
yeah,
it's Ole Miss, get some momentum from that. Tulane shouldn't feel too bad. They still, maybe
they,
even more so now, look like a favorite to take that Group of Five New Year Six bid.
yeah, sure.
They're in a
Because I
tough
mean,
conference for sure, but they should. No reason they can't win the AAC, and maybe have this be their only loss of the year.
right, and then by the end of it, I mean, if Ole Miss could, be a definitely can at this point a definite contender in the West, and
Hmm.
that's your SEC West champs. I mean, that's you can't. I mean,
Well,
and
yeah, we talked about Sark calling a perfect game, and Lane Kiffin's another great mind like that. And if Alabama doesn't fix their thing, their problems on defense a couple of weeks, Lane Kiffin can do the same exact thing to that defense. We've seen him do it before, but we don't have Mac Jones and Devontae Smith on the other end
right,
to outscore them.
yeah, and that was
Uh,
with better defensive players.
mhm.
Because that what was that the Kobe year? I mean, if we didn't have all those weapons, I mean, they were going score to score for us until late into the fourth quarter. The
Mhm.
bad thing is, I don't know if we can, based upon yesterday, we can't match them score for score.
No, yeah. So we shall see. We're gonna trying to work something out with Mal from the Stare Down, Ole Miss fan herself. See if we get a little crossover. We may not want to talk about that game. Who knows?
We might not want to. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see when that time comes.
Right.
Elsewhere yesterday, let's see. I got Notre Dame, good road win there in Raleigh. After a
Fourth
delay
quarter.
with the storm, um, looking a lot better early in Marcus Freeman's second season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Completely, completely different team. I mean, they still had that same defensive toughness that they had last year, but that
Hmm.
offense, when it gets humming, man,
They're
they're
clicking. Yeah. Yeah. Sam Hartman, obviously, such a huge
man.
addition to that team, man. Um,
I mean, and
uh,
Rob said not the easiest place to go into, and
mm-mm.
they that fourth quarter and they just hammered them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And again, yeah, another good team pulls away from a tough game.
Yeah,
So maybe we got to start putting them on the radar for playoff contender. They do still have a real tough schedule coming up, but
yeah.
yeah. Let's see, Utah at Baylor, a tougher game, maybe closer than some people thought after Baylor lost to Texas State last week,
Mm-hmm.
but Utah pulls it out, and that's a tough, gritty win, and you
It
need
is
those kind of character building, and we'll see what it means. If Baylor's maybe not that good, or if that's just one of those wins. Still no Cam Rising.
right.
Maybe that's one of those wins you get that helps you propel you toward a big year.
Yeah, but I mean it was impressive because I mean they looked pretty dead for most of the game there in that
Hmm.
fourth quarter. Were down two touchdowns and it was 13-6 for the longest. Like it looked like Baylor was just had completely shut down their offense. And yeah, they just had the two. clutch drives, able to tie it up, take the lead, and Baylor did have a chance at the end there. Whether that was pass interference or not, who knows? Could have been
Yeah,
called. Kind of iffy, but
looked pretty. Yeah,
uh, you know, uh, if I'm a ref, I'm probably trying to shy away from that as much as possible as well. But
yeah. Um, Baylor fans will definitely, no one's going to hold against you if you think you're robbed in that game.
oh yeah,
Um, Colorado,
man,
first struggle first half, but second half just poured it on. A big win over Nebraska, a
yeah,
team they love to beat there in Boulder.
oh yeah.
Um,
Still, you can still feel a lot of the old rivalry from it, even though
mhm,
they don't play much. But they you the thing with that game, I mean, everybody's like, oh, what's wrong with Colorado? Nebraska's defense is actually pretty legit. Like they for the amount of time that they were on the field and the way that their quarterback put them in bad situations. I mean, they held their own for a good amount of time, but just that the talents of Colorado, especially on the offensive side, you can only contain it for so long if you're not
yeah,
scoring.
another 100 plus snaps for Travis Hunter. Another, I mean, it's time to, early in the year, obviously, but early season Heisman, Shadur Sanders, man.
Almost
Um,
1,000 yards passing in 2 games. He was
yeah,
904 for golly.
and Colorado's got themselves some skill players, man. That another different receiver, I forget who it was, but
Yeah,
another 100-yard great game. Um, it's a team, again, maybe it's too early to get on the hype train. They're playing, TCU's obviously, falling off from last year. Nebraska's still a few years away. Matt Rule probably will get them turned around. That's his specialty, but they don't have the athletes yet.
yeah.
We'll know more about Colorado at the end of this month when they play Oregon and USC. Um,
Right.
but for now, it's a fun watch. They get Colorado State, big rivalry next
Game,
weekend in prime time.
game days going there, so
Yep,
that'll be big.
everyone in on the hype train. Speaking of teams that are back, it's all about the U.
Man, wow.
Miami putting points up on the Aggies. All the talk about Bobby Petrino fixing that A&M offense. Maybe that's not the problem, man, because Miami torched that defense.
Torched.
Uh, Tyler Van Dyke finally looking like the prospect he was supposed to look like last year.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. He had there was when he came in 2 years ago. I mean, he had some really good moments, and yeah, the hype was big last year,
mhm.
and of course, it didn't go right. But yeah, this his performance yesterday, man. I mean, it looked like as of week 2, Miami looks like a whole different team. They have a lot more confidence. I mean, they're flying around on defense. My offense was looking good. Still very early, but man, it looks like a completely different team. I mean, Cristobal had them playing yesterday, and crazy enough, that was the loudest I've ever heard Hard Rock Stadium for for Miami game since they started playing there for sure.
And it wasn't packed out at all, man. They showed some shots, and that upper deck was pretty empty.
But they got into it for what it's worth for Miami fans because we know that they're not the greatest sports fans, and just in the whole area. But yeah, they they really took it to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Much different game than last year. A
Mm-hmm.
lot more. What we kind of expected from last year's game? I think a lot more fireworks and a lot of costly turnovers for the Aggies was the difference in that one.
Yeah, it looked maybe early on like it could be another sloppy game, but both teams ironed out their kinks and big some big plays, skill plays by big kick return from Miami after A&M made it close with a touchdown.
Right.
And that's kind of the story of the second half. Every time A&M looked like they were mounting a comeback, Miami answered with another punch of their own.
Yeah, that third and 8 for the touchdown at the end is like, man.
Oh, backbreaker, just like a.
But I thought, man, A&M is at least going to get one more chance. It was
Mhm,
the 8 at that. If they had stopped them there, they had what 2 minutes to down 8. I mean, it's you at least. I was thinking, man, we'll at least see what they do with it in the end. Miami wasn't having that.
mm-mm. Yeah, I said no, sir. So yeah, like you said, a little early to maybe talk about them as a playoff team, but if Clemson is indeed not where they should be or where they usually were, maybe Miami's a team that can creep up and play for an ACC title.
And if
Uh,
any, it definitely, even though it's way later now in the season, makes you kind of excited again to see Florida State Miami. If it's the offenses or anything at that point like they are right now, that could be quite the game.
hmm Absolutely, yeah, yeah. That if Miami keeps rolling, Florida State keeps rolling, that November tilt could be huge. I mean, that could be like '90s
That
era, big time for that rivalry.
mid '90s, big time.
Um, let's see, Oklahoma did handle SMU, not as
Not as much as you might have
didn't
thought.
show out as much as they had been, but SMU looks like they're only up and up. That's respectable performance.
Right.
Um, Oregon had to do some comebacking, but went into Lubbock and beat Texas Tech.
You
Um,
know, game we had because we had hyped that game up going into the season. Watch out,
mhm,
Oregon, you're going to Lubbock. The game lived up to the hype of what we thought it might have. Tech did but kind of wondered about Tech after that tough loss in Laramie, but
mhm,
they gave Oregon all they wanted there. Oregon just I think just a more skilled team, top to bottom, and
mhm. Yeah,
talented.
Oregon. Yeah, Oregon, a deeper team. Tech shouldn't be. You hate moral victories, no such thing, but shouldn't be ashamed of that loss. They can, if they can just not get too dejected from their start, they can still have a really good season there in
Right.
Lubbock.
I mean, they're still haven't lost in the Big 12 yet. I mean,
Yeah,
there's still a lot to play for. If anything, you want to build up and play square with to a Texas in your final game with them for probably a while, or some fun like that. So who knows? But yeah, they still have a lot to play for. But yeah, it's just a mentality once you're down 0-2, and there was a lot of hype coming into the season. How to what that's just the whole dynamic of how bad do you want it. The coaches keep everybody with their positive mindset to get them back on the right track. 'Cause
yeah,
definitely a lot of season left, and probably a lot of games that they could still win.
yeah, absolutely. Um, in the Pac-12's version of Lubbock, Washington State beat Wisconsin. Um,
They handled them.
Cam Ward, yeah, they handled him. Cam Ward showed out. He's the real deal there, man. We talked about all the great quarterbacks in the Pac-12 in our preview for him. We didn't mention
Right.
him, or if we did, we didn't talk about him enough, man.
He has had a heck of a start to the season.
Yeah,
He transfer from Incarnate Word. And heard things about him. You saw highlights, and you would wonder how that would translate to the FBS level. And so far, whew, that conference is just the quarterback play. Man, it's crazy.
insane. And if it weren't for a couple late night losses, they'd be unbeaten in
Right?
non-conference play so far.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Arizona uh, came that close to winning in Starkville.
hmm Yeah, Arizona came close to winning Starkville. Arizona State, Oklahoma State pulled away at the end there in Tempe,
Right.
and then
And how?
Cal had every chance in the book. Auburn was trying to give them that game, and
Yeah,
Cal gave it right back to them.
exactly. Like
Um,
when they got that fumble, and then they got down to what the 5 yard line, and he threw that pick. I was like, "What are you
mm.
doing?" Like,
Yeah,
but
there's
that
there's some. It was weird. I saw a couple of jokes. It was like Justin Wilcox. Last week Cal scored some points, had a 700 yards of offense just about. Saw like one that they're like, oh no, we're Cal, we can't do that, and decided to
Yeah,
go
that
back to their terrible ways. But man, they did lose their star back early in the game, or midway through it.
right.
But yeah, Cal had every chance to win, should have won it. But I mentioned I actually did pick Cal and I got the points. That was right in the betting column on Friday. That Auburn defense is that all they're yeah, they're not there. Hugh Freeze has a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I mean, you could see bits and pieces where they're good, but I mean, they show at times. But yeah, they're yeah. I mean, a good team is not going to be in a struggle with Cal.
Mm-mm. Well, like I said, both Auburn tried to give it to Cal, and Cal gave it right back to him.
Right.
Yeah,
And then the field goal
another
kicker
competent team.
four.
If Auburn was playing Arizona, maybe they don't win that game. If Auburn's the one to go to Pullman, they're not winning that game.
No, they're not. They played
Um,
the right Pac-12 team.
yeah. Um, we mentioned elsewhere Arizona State fell to Okie State late. UCLA went into San Diego State and won pretty handily.
Yeah.
Um, it's like we said, a good start for the Pac-12. Stanford, got
House.
crushed by USC. USC, yeah, no big time upsets here.
No,
Um,
kind
but
of was
yeah,
game.
yeah, it was not. It was not. I mean, it was 49-3 at halftime.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, it was just ugly. But like we said, the Pac-12, yeah, quarterback play is just phenomenal there.
Yeah, it is.
Elsewhere, Georgia top 25 teams took care of business against lesser opponents. Georgia, scoreless after 31 points in the second, en route to 45-3 win over Ball State. Michigan
Mm-hmm.
handled UNLV. Ohio State handled Youngstown State. Penn State handled Delaware. Washington handled Tulsa. Tennessee struggled with Austin P for a while.
It was close.
Mhm.
It was like 13-6 for the longest.
Yeah, as the
Got on
score
the
at
bottom
halftime.
line of like what?
Yeah, they were down 6-3 at one point. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute now.
Yeah.
LSU blows out Grambling. They get
Hmm.
back on track. Oregon State, speaking of Pac-12 teams, big win over UC Davis. North Carolina, another overtime win over App
Another
State.
another classic.
Teams just do. If you're an AD of a power program, do not schedule App State because it probably
No.
won't end well for you.
No.
Even if you win,
Yeah.
uh,
Gonna be a barn burner. Not what you yeah. Not what you signed up for if you're looking for an easy start of the season win there at all.
no, yeah, it's not.
And talk about another one. JMU went into Virginia, pulled off that. I guess you not really an upset because they were the favorite, but James Madison, the fact you're able to go in and it looked like a pro JMU crowd at Virginia, so that
in
was
Charlottesville, yeah. And on the other end, Virginia Tech losing at home to
Purdue.
Purdue. The Hokies have fallen, man.
Yeah, they have. But that was a weird one because it started at 11:30, and with all the weather delays, like it didn't
Hmm.
restart till like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's like at that point, you have a whole different game. Like it's hard to get up for. You basically had a six, like a 6, 8 hour period of no playing. Like that's hard to get back into the whole groove to come back and play again. So it's, I don't know how you like keep everybody motivated or what you do to get everybody back on track because you're ready. You have your mindset ready for the game, and then to sit around for that amount of time, that's tough.
Yeah, it's like a pitcher in a rain delay.
Yeah,
Once you get
exactly.
cold, you don't get warm again.
Right.
Um, but yeah, yeah, it was a couple of big games, entertaining week again. Another entertaining week of football. That late window has some really fun, close games. Um,
Yeah, yeah, those late, those Pac-12 after dark, man, they
mhm.
living to the living up to the hype so far this year. I mean, not the sexiest of games, but I mean, if I mean, definitely not the most talented teams were playing last night. But for what it's worth, I mean, even like Arizona State, Oklahoma State was pretty entertaining. A little painful to watch at times, but
Yeah,
you know, so, it was good football for that time slot. But yeah, once we get to these big games in the Pac-12, man, though, that could man like the USC Washington game, man, I can only imagine how good that one's gonna be.
oh, yeah. Those big, yeah, like you said, those big Pac-12 games going to be appointment viewing. Get game
Oh
day out there, hype those crowds up.
yeah, gonna be fun.
There's another fun game. Oh, Houston and Rice. Rice
Yes,
went up 28-0.
right.
Houston stormed back, forced overtime, and then went to two overtimes where Rice got the win in the crosstown rivalry. JT Daniels, that's where he is now. If you're wondering,
Pete Daniels. I was like, this guy looks familiar.
yeah, right. Former USC, Georgia, West Virginia quarterback. His last shot. He's in Houston and Rice, and I'll tell you what, man. Luke McCaffrey is a stud out there, receiver playing for Rice. Um, he might could get his name on Sundays. JT Daniels throws for over 400 yards. Rice beats Houston. Like I said, a former SWC rivalry, a crosstown
Yeah.
rivalry.
Where they put to the
Um,
bucket, I believe.
yeah, there's some tension in that game. So
Oh yeah,
let's see, UCF, excuse me, goes into Boise, beats beats Boise on a walk off field goal,
yeah. Eight was 18.
55 yarder.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But yeah, looking ahead to next week now. Um, not as quite as big a slate. I don't know if there are any as of right now. Anyway, top 25 matchups. I had it down here somewhere. Big one, of course, locally Bama. Like I said, travel to Tampa and USF, a rare kind of road game against a
Right.
non-powered team. It's about adjustments and fixing your problems. And do we see, quarterback beside Jalen Milrow, or do they try to fix him? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. I mean, that's one where I'm glad I'm not the decision maker in that because I mean,
mhm.
it's so many different ways to take that, but you don't want to. It's a fragile situation. You don't want to make the wrong decision because the wrong decision could mess up things way worse than what they are as of right now. So
Yeah.
that's it. You don't want to pull the cord too quick on them, but at the same time, if it needs to happen, so, yeah, you have to make that hard choice. But yeah, will it be interesting to see do others play more in Tampa than what we saw?
hmm Elsewhere, LSU goes to Starkville early in the day. That could be an interesting one.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, Kansas State at Missouri, an old Big Eight rivalry. Uh, South Carolina and Georgia. Um,
That,
the Gamecocks, that could be bad. Uh, they need to discover their November form
yeah, quickly, because
very
if
quickly. Yeah.
yeah, because the offensive line looked that bad against UNC, and
Mm-hmm.
they got 9 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could get ugly quick. And then of course, Florida Tennessee is another one. Of course, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's Florida Tennessee, but I think it's safe to say uh, that as Tennessee's trying to win at the Swamp for the first time since what '03 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that this is probably when they break the streak.
Yeah, they should handle this Florida team. Like you said, yeah, it'd be their first win since, yeah, like 03, 04, 02, something like that in the swamp, right? The opening line 7. I think that's a little low. Um,
Yeah, I was like 7.
yeah, it is the swamp, I guess, but still, that's no, Tennessee. If they're serious about challenging for the SEC, they
They
need to
have
win
to
this handily.
make it a. If you're, yeah, if you want to be considered a serious contender, this is definitely a statement game where you just get it over with quick and dominate from the get go.
Yeah. Then it's in Austin, so I want to, Wyoming's visiting Texas. If that were flipped in Texas, like Tech was going into Laramie, maybe, but um, that kind of, that letdown game.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a long game, but I think Sark will have them ready to go
yeah,
because
no, I don't foresee
that's the
them.
thing now is that a lot of people are saying whether they win the Alabama game or not, folks know that Texas will show up for that game. It's a
Hmm.
matter of those games because Texas has been known to drop those games. And you're like, how the heck did you lose this one?
Hmm.
A couple years ago they lost to Kansas, or they lost to some weird Iowa State teams and some.
Hmm.
And it's just like, dude, there's no reason why you lose these games. And that's I guess that's the biggest thing for Texas is we know they get up for big games. It's those little games, and I think that I think Sark knows that that's been the thing at Texas. So I think they'll. I don't think they'll have any problem with Wyoming.
No, sure. But let's see. Like that's probably it for next week. I guess the big news in the college games. Michigan State has suspended
Hey,
Mel Tucker
yeah,
amidst an investigation into a sexual harassment claim on him that he
yeah, that,
harassed a rape survivor. Um,
yeah. Who came and talked at Michigan State? And yikes! It's the best
yeah.
best sounding situation. I guess that's why they're still doing an investigation, but it doesn't sound good. Because at first, the first notification I got that he was fired, and then it got changed to suspended.
Hmm.
So I've heard suspended, fired. I would assume by the sound of it, it's probably gonna not make it there.
No, yeah. Everything I've read said his prospects of him keeping that job are uh, not good. Kind of an out for the Michigan State
To
uh,
get out of the
to
contract.
get out of that big ass contract.
A
Yeah.
lot of people there's a lot of people like, wait a minute, it seems kind of fishy. But I mean, I don't want to be that guy because I mean it's a
No.
serious situation. But it, I guess the timing of it seems kind of convenient for what as far as getting out of that contract. But I mean, at the same time, you guys are the ones who gave him that contract after one
Hmm.
good season. I mean, it was a heck of a season, but I thought it was. I was like, wow, they really just threw him all the money. And I realized it was because they were worried about other schools because at that point a lot of teams were looking for coaches. Um, Notre Dame was looking for a coach. USC was looking for a coach. There's a lot of big programs looking for coaches at that point. But
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, I don't think it's gonna go in his favor no matter what. Just because, just that story in itself, even if it's just a PR nightmare.
Yeah. Oh yeah, does not look good. There. I guess that's it for the college game. Uh, moving on. Let's see. NFL action started today. The big time. We saw Kansas City upset by the Lions Thursday night. Um, all this hype around Detroit, and there was some pushback on it. Like, all right, but they went to Kansas City and won the opening game. It's not
They
easy to
did.
do. Um, could be, it's the first game of the year, long NFL season. You don't want to
Yeah.
read too much, but it looks like
Right.
the Lions definitely are a favorite in that NFC North. And it, again, long season. We'll see how it goes. They didn't have Travis Kelsey, but the Chiefs,
Right.
that another not having a star receiver, not a strong receiving corpse there,
That,
is it going to
that
hurt
hurt.
them? Or
That hurt him.
yeah, we'll see. Again, long season, they can make a trade, or just
Right.
having Travis Kelsey could make it that much big a difference.
Yeah.
Um, as for today, some of the notable games, things have gone on. The Bengals and Joe Burrow just absolutely shut down by the Browns defense.
Man, did they? Wait,
Um,
what? 5 yards passing, I believe, on the day.
yeah, 85 yards passing. Great for my fantasy team. Thanks, Joe. Um,
And just
uh,
after he got money too.
yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I got that contract. Get fat happy there. It was a little ugly weather-wise too, but no, the Browns dominate on defense, and they did what they do. They ran Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson didn't look great. He did
Uh,
enough, I guess.
right.
But notable anyway to see if that's just an aberration or if that's a problem that Cincinnati's going to have. Um,
Right.
see elsewhere, Calvin Ridley's back, baby.
Man, big game.
8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. 10-point win for the Jags in Indianapolis. Um, yeah, Jacksonville's just got a slew of weapons there for Trevor Lawrence, and they should run away with that division.
They should run away with the division, and if things go as planned, I mean, he could definitely be in that consideration for MVP. I mean, this is his
Absolutely.
season to really take it to that next level.
Yeah. Um, elsewhere, the 49ers, defending NFC champs, or not, excuse
Oh,
me, not NFC champs, but make
West Ham.
championship game, just beat the hell out of the Steelers, just dominated them. Um, Christian McCaffrey did what he does. That
Yeah,
defense just harassed Kenny Pickett and that Steelers offense all day. Steelers are getting some hype coming in the years. Maybe dark horse team, and who knows? Maybe it's just the Niners are that good, but it wasn't a confidence building performance.
not at all. And Brock
Um,
Purdy looked good again.
yeah, Brock looked great. Um, you can see why they traded away Trey Lance uh,
Yeah,
and let Jimmy G go.
yeah.
Let's see the Ravens' new look offense. Um,
It was
from
up and
what I
down.
did see, uh, kind of similar problems to Alabama. That pass rush or that pass protection was a little like sketchy.
Yeah,
That secondary is, of course, going to be a big worry for them, although they only allowed 3 field goals from the Texans. So,
yeah,
but of course, as is just fucking tradition, a big time player for the Ravens out for the season already. J.K. Dobbins tore his
yeah.
Achilles,
Yes. You feel
done
bad for
for
that.
the season. Um, so it's going to be Gus Edwards and Justice Hill time, and Justice Hill had 2 touchdown runs today, and they got Melvin Gordon on that practice squad, so we'll see. But the passing game, that new look, it's okay. Lamar 17 to 22, 169, and a pick a bad throw, but he had, I did see that play live actually. Just as soon as he got the ball, there were 3 guys right up the middle in his face, threw off his back foot. It was picked
Right.
off. Nice diving interception actually, but other than that, it can't be too. Only 5 incompletions. You'd like to see the running game get going. Zay Flowers does look every
Yeah,
bit the
he did look good.
the star that they hope
Need.
he will be. Um,
Right.
but yeah, uh, and then let's see late window games going on here.
This Miami and Chargers
Chargers,
game,
yeah,
a fun one, back
yeah,
and forth. All
it is indeed, yeah, big time. Justin Herbert and Tua are just going back and forth, slinging it around. It's
I don't know.
31-27 Chargers right now. But the Dolphins look like they're driving. Tua has nearly 400 yards passing already. Tyreek Hill, another monster game.
Monster game. Yeah.
Um, let's see what else going on. Rams are beating the Seahawks, kind of surprisingly.
Yeah. In
Matt
Seattle.
Stafford. almost 350 in a year there. With
Yeah,
no
they.
Cooper Cup.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as the Rams looked last year, they look back to what you kind of expected the Rams to be
Hmm.
last year. I mean, the things just the injuries piled up and the wheels just fell off the wagon quick in
Hmm.
LA. But the Rams look much better today. I mean, of course, it's only week one, but no, going to Seattle is always a tough environment, and
Hmm.
they're looking good.
Yeah. Right now, Sean Payton not having the effect that Broncos fans hoped he would. I mean, they're still in the game. It's only 17-16 Los Angeles, about or Las Vegas, excuse me, about five to go in that one.
Yeah,
Um,
but you
so
would
they have a shot,
right,
but
but
it hasn't been.
if yeah, I mean, this is a Raiders team that many people that don't think is going to be very good.
Hmm.
Um, and if you're, this is well, definitely one I'm sure Broncos fans were hoping would kind of be a statement game or a change of last year, just with bringing in Sean Payton, known from fixing situations and quarterback situations, and yeah, not I don't think the start that they were looking for in Denver at all.
The big play's not there. That's what I'm
No,
seeing. Russell Wilson is 27 to 34. Hey, that's respectable. That's great. Only
right.
177 yards though. That's uh,
27 in the NFL when you have 27 completions and 160 yards, less than 160 yards, yeah, things just are not clicking.
no, yeah. And compare that to his opposite, Jimmy Garoppolo, 19 completions for 193 yards. So you know, yeah. Then let's see, defending and then the actual defending NFC champs, the Eagles, up 8 over New England right now. They have the ball trying to ice it. It's kind of a tough game. Um, what you expect. The Patriots offense does look a little better. Um,
A little better.
Actually, having an offense coordinator kind of helps, even if it is Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien. Because I don't even know what they were doing last year at the offensive coordinator position. It's like, dude,
Neither did
I,
they. What a
I
coincidence.
don't think anybody knew what was going on. But yeah, I mean, when they got down 16 nothing, I was like, man. But I mean, they came back into it a little bit, and but yeah, I think it. And the crazy thing is now that the AFC East has completely flipped around, and now they're kind of the weak link. That's funny to
Hmm.
think. Now the Patriots are the weak link of the AFC East, but it's
Well,
looking
we'll
that
see
way.
tomorrow night anyway. Uh,
Right. That'd be interesting.
yeah. And then tell you who's not missing Aaron Rodgers right now is
Man,
Packers taking it
yeah,
to the Bears. Jordan Love, 3 touchdown passes.
right. And they are,
Uh,
and
Spanking the Bears in Chicago.
yeah,
And then
and the
tonight, your
Bears,
Cowboys.
Cowboys, Giants.
Yeah.
It always seems to be a week one game.
Yeah. Either week
Just
one or a big time game late in the season.
yeah, but it seems like recently it's always been either Monday night football or Sunday night football. But no big rivalry game, of course. It's a tough place to go in to win, and they're in New York. But hey, I think only can hope for the best there. And hopefully, the biggest thing I'm looking for, whether win or lose, is just not to have the mistakes that hurt your head at the end of the day.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, like we said, Cowboys Giants tonight. Bills Jets tomorrow night. Monday Night Football. Um, Elsewhere in the world of sports, let's see. USA knocked out of the
Mm,
World Cup, FIBA World Cup by Germany,
Canada,
who went on to win it.
yeah, and then we didn't even win the bronze. That's even worse.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah, that's
morning,
rough. Yeah, losing to what? Serbia, Canada.
Canada, we lost to Canada. But I mean, there was kind of a a JV unit, more or less. I mean,
Hmm.
people that want to be there. I mean, I'm not going to down them. I mean, but it's not your lineup where you're like, man, this is going to be great. Like,
Yeah.
kind of shocked that they made it as far as they did before they even lost the game, to be honest. But
Yeah, like the starting five might have been great. Once you got to the bench, maybe a little rough there. Um, Other than that, no updates, basketball wise on the James Harden situation or Dame. Um, well, yeah, just more stories about how James does not like Daryl Morey anymore. Um,
oh, buddy, and that's
yeah,
only going to get louder as we get closer to the season.
yeah, exactly. It's going to get louder and uglier. Um,
Because I don't think he's moving.
yeah, he might not be moving, but he ain't going to be playing for the Sixers either. Uh,
It's gonna be an expensive bench player. It's gonna be like when the Knicks had to pay when they paid like Stephen Marbury X amount of money to stay away.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I think that's. I don't really think anything to see. Major League Baseball, Braves, the first team to clinch um, a playoff spot. Ronald Acuna has just gone into overdrive in his MVP campaign,
man, has it?
go, going nuts. Matt Olson getting hot again for them, approaching 50 home runs, approaching a franchise record there. Um, let's see what else going on there. No, hold up. That's not what I want. Yeah, there it is. Elsewhere, like I said, the O's still holding a 3-game lead over the Rays in the AL East. Twins
Mm,
running away; they're getting pretty close. Um, there is I'm looking for the playoff tracker here. It tells you magic numbers and all that. Uh, Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. The O's are pretty assured of not clinching that division next, but I was trying to see. This doesn't have the magic numbers like it used to. Back to the standings. But yeah, Minnesota's got a very comfortable lead in the AL Central. That
yeah,
AL West is still a fun one. Houston has pulled out 2.5 game lead over the Mariners now. Texas starting to drift back.
they're falling off for their. I think they won 2 of the last 10 or something. Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah, that's a rough 3-7 their last 10. They have won back-to-back games now at least. Um, and the NL, Milwaukee's still holding a little lead over Chicago in the Central there. Of course, the Dodgers running away with the West.
Hmm.
Just that huge August they had, 25-4 in August.
Yeah, crushing.
Just exploded. So you look at the wild card races. Tampa Bay assured pretty much of a wild card berth if they can't catch Baltimore.
All right,
Toronto holding on to a slim one there. Seattle 0.5 game lead over Texas, and then after that, it's kind of
kind of a long.
Boston's, yeah, 6 out, and the Yankees are 8 out. So both of them would need to go on big time winning streaks and get some luck ahead of them
Yeah,
in the
Yankees.
standings as well. The Phillies have cooled off from their hot August as well, but they still pretty comfortable. 4 games up in the wild card. Chicago's there too. The D backs have a 0.5 game lead over the Marlins. That's a more exciting one because you got the D backs right there holding that third spot, and you got the Marlins, Reds, and Giants all right there on their heels.
Excuse me.
Uh,
Yes, could
so,
be
yeah.
quite in the NL. That should be actually fun there because you have four teams right there within the 2 games.
Yeah, it should be a fun playoff when we finally get there. Um, but yeah, anything else, world of sports, you want to touch on?
Not a whole lot. I think we pretty much hit all the key.
Yeah, I think we hit it. So, what has been done up real good for you this week?
Well, done up for me. Real good. Well, I guess it's more. Excuse me. This coming up week is first homecoming week for my daughter. It'd be interesting to see with all
Oh,
the homecoming stuff and dance and see how all that goes. But kind of excited, I guess, from a parent aspect. But it's, you know, it's crazy to think to come to that point.
yeah. All right.
How about
This end, I guess upcoming, same thing. Look ahead. I got a friend, one of my wife's good friends. She's getting married down in Gulf Shores this week, so a little September beach trip.
nice?
Yeah, can't complain about that. So that'll be nice. Um, Other than that, finally starting to cool down here in Birmingham. Uh, we actually had 10-day forecast where it didn't say 90 degrees on any of the days. So
Man, yeah, that's come a long way.
I know and I walked out on the porch, let the dog out the other morning. I was like, wait a minute now, there's a little nip in the air. And that's, hey
Where
now.
we at?
Yeah, right. I was like, did I walk back into Baltimore for a second?
I know we used to always joke when we were in school.
Mhm.
We're gonna being that I lived, lived in Southern Illinois, you lived in Maryland, and we're gonna walk to class, not even thinking about the snow because it's gonna be
Mm-mm.
like half an inch, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be like, "Who are these? What are these idiots out doing?"
All the classes are canceled. Everything's shut down. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Come a long way since that, though. I mean, no more.
right. Yeah,
We're in short. Yeah, we used to be the one that were, what, 50 degrees out. We're in shorts still. I was like, okay, it's nice out. What are you talking about? Everybody in their North Face and their puffy
yeah,
coats.
yeah.
We're like, man, it's nice out. What you talking about?
So, yeah.
But oh, big play here with the Patriots. But yeah, as always, folks, thanks for listening. That should do it for us this week. It's okay, Alabama fans. Uh, we have basketball season to look forward to. Uh, but no, as always, like I said, thanks for listening, y'all. Do subscribe and give us good ratings and tell your friends about us. Check out everything on the alabamatape.com. Check out all of our great podcasts. Everything's in full swing. Um, and do come back and see us or listen to us next time out. For Greg over there, I am TD. Greg, take it easy, buddy.
Me too, buddy.
All right, y'all, keep it done up real good.